Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kendra and I'm a PA. Yeah. Today we're going to be going over applying to PA school. Ow, my jaw just locked. So first things first, tomorrow is April 25th and tomorrow is the day that CASPA opens up its registration. If you don't know what CASPA is and you want to apply to PA school, you should probably find out what that is. CASPA is basically an application system where you put in all of your information that's required by the schools, and this program sends it out to all the schools for you and does a lot of the work for you. Alright, so I want to start with a question that I get asked a lot by a lot of pre-PAs, and that's, what should I major in to get into PA school? In short, and to make it super simple for you, you can major in literally whatever you want. As long as you get your prerequisites done for PA school and you have satisfied all of their requirements, then you can literally major in whatever you want. So for me, if I could go back to school, I majored in exercise science, but if I could go back, I would go back and major in business instead and do my prerequisites for PA school, because I didn't know that I would have such an interest in business until after I graduated. Okay, so before we get started, it's really important for you guys to do your research. So prerequisites and the requirements for PA school vary by school, and there are a lot of schools in the United States. So below I'm going to list a link to all of the programs in the US so you can look at all of them and see which ones you think you want to apply to. So one of my biggest tips for applying to PA school is starting your patient care experience as soon as you possibly can. If you're applying for the cycle tomorrow, I hope you have all of your hours already done. So you have direct patient contact and you have healthcare experience. Direct patient contact is going to be more hands-on. You do things like work up the patients, maybe you take out sutures and remove staples from people, from incisions. You also take blood pressure, heart rate, do EKGs, etc. Some examples of direct patient contact are going to be jobs like medical assistant, EMT or paramedic, a CNA, or even a respiratory therapist. Of those, my favorite are going to be an MA, EMT, or paramedic. I find those jobs really helpful in preparing you for the knowledge and material that you're going to learn in PA school, and it really will give you an edge over your classmates if you worked in one of those. Some schools may require healthcare experience instead. So healthcare experience is going to be a little less hands-on than direct patient contact. It's going to be jobs like a scribe or a patient transporter. So of the two that I mentioned, I wouldn't really do patient transport as much because you're just transporting patients, and that's not really what PAs do. So once you start your patient contact hours, you want to start logging your hours down. So you can either do this on your phone or on a Word document, on an Excel spreadsheet, whatever you want, whatever is easiest for you, so that you have it all already logged down and all you have to do is take that information and put it into CASPA. It's really windy. Another pro tip I want to mention is once you start your contact hours, again, you want to start a procedure log. So if you do any procedures in your job, such as removing sutures, removing staples, putting in IV lines, drawing blood, anything like that are great experiences for you to document and include in your applications, because they directly have to do with procedures that we would do as a PA. Right, now that you have gotten all of your patient contact hours done, or you're in the middle of them right now, it's time to get organized. What I mean by getting organized is I would suggest making an Excel spreadsheet that lists the names of the schools that you plan on applying to and also what requirements there are to get in. This is an example of an Excel spreadsheet that you guys can make so that you guys can organize the schools you want to apply to. So in this section, I listed the school so that you can put the name under, if they require any healthcare experience, if they require any direct patient contact, what their GPA requirement is, and what their science GPA requirement is. The next section that I included are the prerequisites. So I just went on Nova's site and copy and pasted all of their prerequisites so that you can easily see them. Then in the last section, I added whether or not they're on CASPA, when the application deadline is, if they have a supplemental application deadline, when that is, what the cost of the tuition is, if there is an interview date, and what your status is for the school. So by filling in a chart like this, you can keep your schools easily organized and you can have a good overall look at all of them and be able to compare them. Alright, so I just wanted to go over a couple tips for personal statements. I'm not going to go too much into it because I'm going to have a link down below to one of my colleagues' business. Her name is Savannah and she runs the PA platform. It is meant for pre-PAs, PA students, and also PAs as a guide to all things PA, really. So for pre-PAs and applying to PA school, they do mock interviews, they do resume editing, they do personal statement editing, so a lot of great resources to help you out when you're applying for the cycle. If you want to see more of their services or what else they offer, you can go ahead and click the link down below. So my main tip for your personal statement is to get personal. So this is not the time for you to start listing off all the experience that you have or listing all the procedures that you've done or who you've worked with. It's a time for you to introduce yourself to administration and convey a story about yourself and tell them why you got into the medical field, why you're passionate about it. My favorite thing that I've seen applicants do is start with a story. Start with a story that tells them why you chose the medical field, what sparked your passion, anything like that. If you want any more tips for writing a personal statement, I linked my other colleague, Karen Calcano's blog down below, and she talks about her tips for writing a really great personal statement. My last tip for your personal statement is to have multiple people review it. Have PAs review it, your friends review it, your other colleagues review it. Just have multiple people read it and give you some feedback. So now I want to go over some of the most common delays when it comes to applying to PA school. Some of the most common delays you're going to see are ordering your transcripts, getting your letters of recommendation, the GRE, and shadowing a PA. So for ordering your transcripts, I recommend ordering them as soon as you can because unfortunately you're at the mercy of the school and the administration and you really have no power over how quickly they send the stuff over. So if you don't want to be waiting forever, order them right away. When it comes to letters of recommendation, some schools require for you to get it from specific people such as a PA or a doctor or a supervisor or one of your old professors. I definitely recommend developing a relationship with these people ahead of time and making sure that you trust them to get your letter recommendation done. Unfortunately for CASPA, what it is you send out a link to the person that you want to complete the letter and they actually have to go on the link and complete a survey and then attach their letter recommendation. So this gets a little bit hard if you're not really in contact with them too much, especially for doctors. I found that, doctors take quite a while to write your letter recommendation sometimes. No offense to them, they're really busy and I totally understand, but it's very imperative that you stay on top of them, check in with them, don't bother them, but I mean, make sure that they know that it is due on a certain day and just follow up with them so that it gets in on time. As far as a GRE, I would study ahead of time and then just take it. So people ask me for tips for taking the GRE, but I am not the person you want to ask for tips for that because for me, all I did was reteach myself how to do math by hand and I literally YouTubed how do I divide decimals? How do I multiply fractions? Because I don't know. I'm very calculator dependent. So other than that, I didn't study very much. I don't like to study for standardized tests, but you should. Don't take after me. There are a lot of resources out there that you can look into. I will link some of them down below. Finally, shadowing a PA can be very difficult. I get a lot of feedback from the pre-PAs that I talk to on Instagram saying that they are having a hard time finding someone to shadow. When it comes to finding a PA to shadow, one of my biggest tips would be reaching out to influencers on Instagram or on YouTube and seeing if they know anybody to shadow in the area that you're looking for. So you may not necessarily be able to shadow them, but they definitely probably have some contacts and colleagues that they can reach out to and see if you can shadow with them. Another great way to find a PA to shadow is to call around offices near your house, to call around offices near you and ask if they have any PAs that they would allow you to shadow. I wouldn't really try to contact hospitals to do this because one, I don't really know who you're going to talk to ask about it, and two, it's a lot harder to get into hospitals if you don't know somebody there already. Let's get to ways to stand out on your application. A great way to stand out on your application is volunteering. So not volunteering just once, but volunteering multiple times for different events. Another thing that you can look into doing are medical mission trips. Mission trips are really awesome. They really give you a lot of hands-on experience and show that you care about the community and the world. Showing commitment is also another great way to stand out on your application, whether it be joining clubs, joining a sport, or even a team and sticking to it for an extended amount of time. They want to see that when you're passionate about something, you really commit yourself and you give a lot of your time to it. So for me, I spent 3 years on the dance team in my college, and it didn't have to do with being a PA per se, but I pursued my passion for as long as I could because it was something that I was extremely dedicated to and enjoyed doing. Another great way to show commitment is to try to gain a leadership role in any of the clubs that you're in. So whether you want to be the president or vice president, the treasury, anything like that, shows a lot of leadership and teamwork, which being a PA is all about teamwork. Alright, so before we finish up, I asked Savannah from the PA platform some of her best tips for applying to PA school. Her tips are: 1, apply early, and she suggests applying between May and June ideally. Sorry, I need my notes for my references. Tip number 2, make sure you meet the requirements before you apply so that you don't waste your time and your money. 3, order your transcripts ahead of time so that it's all ready for you whenever the CASPA application opens up. Number 4, start preparing for your interviews right after you submit your applications because you never know when you're going to get called for an interview. Number 5, personal statements get interviews and interviews get acceptances. So personal statements are extremely important. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I hope you guys got some tips and a lot of information about applying to PA school, and I hope it helps you in your journey. So good luck to everyone applying for this cycle. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment them down below and I will try to get back to them as soon as I can. Tune in for my next video and I will see you next time.